Hey, what's up, universe? It is 11:19 a.m. on Monday, June 5th, 2023. This will be a quick video. So I wrote an article on LinkedIn this morning where it inspired some anxiety in me because it was around being vulnerable. I pretty much wrote to my LinkedIn network and I was like, hey, what opportunities are available for me to employ the full spectrum of my skills. I said I'm more than just my technical prowess. And in the article I wrote about my beliefs, and I wrote another LinkedIn post the other day around this as well a little bit. So I linked to that, and then I linked to some of my Instagram videos. And this is pretty, it causes some anxiety for me because I have kept these things separate typically, right? My internal beliefs, my way of being, how I navigate, all of that stuff has been really private. And so doing the Instagram videos here was a stretch. And now I'm into this quote unquote professional arena, in this professional forum where I have a different image of myself, or had a different image of myself, the way I related to that, what was I bringing back to that context of my self-image, of that part of myself, and how did I navigate those professional relationships? How did I see myself and carry myself? What's my energetic vibration? What's my subconscious pattern? All of that is going through some change, and it is it's uncomfortable a little bit. So the really interesting thing that I will say, right? I posted that. I wrote that article, posted it, and within 60 seconds, that individual, right, that started following me, I think it was Saturday, from the IEEE, he posted something and I made a comment on it. He replied to my comment, and then he, invited me to connect. And so that all happened within, like I said, within 60 seconds of me posting that article. Then through looking at, I forgot, it was through that individual, through that IEEE individual, that I found this other guy. It was another post or something, that this individual, that the IEEE individual either commented on or liked or maybe reposted. So I went to the author of that post. Anyway, so the second person, I'll just put it this way, I was reading, and if you go and read the article on LinkedIn, it's funny because I asked ChatGPT what spiritual beliefs, because I fed it a whole bunch of beliefs of mine. And then I asked it, okay, what belief systems would you say that this character has encountered? And the way I framed it to ChatGPT is that I have this character in a story, and that I wrote all the beliefs, right? I'm the character in the story. I just wanted to frame it that way to ChatGPT because that also helps me shift how I write about it and how I think about it, I'm on a stage, I'm playing a role, I'm a character. So just kind of removing myself and just seeing myself as an actor or a participant. I'm observing. It allows me to observe without responding, and it provides that disconnection. If you read Michael Singer, or any other philosophers where they talk about the seat of self or the lotus of the self, where your consciousness is witnessing your experience, but it's not it understands it's not the experience. So anyway, what I'm getting at is that the second connection, mindfulness coach, yoga, worked in Fiji with Tony Robbins, which is hilarious to me in a way. And it's synchronistic because I went to Life and Wealth Mastery, a Tony Robbins event in Fiji in 2019. And that event, when I returned from that event, that's what literally started my whole process of creating, with intention, my new me. So since 2019, I've been seriously deconstructing myself and reconstructing myself with intention. Fiji was a huge genesis point. It wasn't like the very beginning. I have multiple let's see, how do I want to say? I can tie back my now all the way back to choices that I made in like, say, 1999. So I can trace from 1999 to now, and I can tell you the lineage of choices and the ripples and how they overlapped and created my experience. It's incredible. So there was a reason and choices that I made to get me to Fiji, and it was an impactful experience for me. I tell people that I've gone to, as far as Tony Robbins events, I've been to UPW, which is Unleash the Power Within. That's the top of the Tony Robbins funnel. That's their 3-day event, and it's how they kind of get you in and get you exposed to the whole Tony Robbins experience, right? And that was a trip because I had never experienced anything like that, and that was a whole thing. I was like, whoa. So when I was there, they do a great job of upselling. I totally bought in on a package that included Date with Destiny, which is like Tony's 5 or 6 day program, really super intense. And then that also got me Life and Wealth Mastery, which can be 2 separate events, but they're normally ran like together, and most people go to both. Now they did have a version. They do have a session of Life and Wealth here in the United States, and then they also have it in Fiji. And I remember when I came back, I asked the kids, I was like, hey, I think, where is it at? It's somewhere in Florida. Is it, I'm going to forget the name of the town, or the city. Sorry, it's not a town, whatever. In Florida, it doesn't matter. But I was like, this place in Florida or Fiji, and both of them were like Fiji, and I'm like, sold. Like, let's. And there's a whole story I can get into about how I got there. That was a trip. That's a financial story too. I'll save that for another time if we ever get into it. There's a lot. It just is an interesting thing because the belief systems that ChatGPT was like, Eastern philosophies, yoga, and then like there's this guy literally within minutes of me posting this, and I'm like, what are the chances of that? Because the thing about going to Life and Wealth Mastery in Fiji, and they make a point to tell you this, or at least they did when I went there. They're like, Tony reaches millions and millions of people every year. And he's got, the platinum partners, and I think he even has like the Lions group now or something like that. So these are like tiers within the Tony Robbins like ecosystem, and the platinum partner is like, at least it was, I don't know if it still is, but it's like an upper echelon kind of a thing, right? It's a pay to play, like you get certain access, you get events, and like it's an interesting product. And so they say that, they're like, even the platinum partners, right? The people that are spending like, it was like $75,000 or $80,000 the last I checked per year, right? So even those individuals don't always come to Fiji. There was like 120 of us, which, by the way, what was really interesting about that experience is that there were like 5 or 6 of us that had ties. They had either lived in Kansas City, worked in Kansas City, or had like a tie or relation to Kansas City. And I'm like, what the hell? How does that happen? So anyway, they just make it a point to be like, look, there's just a really small section of the Tony Robbins people that actually make it out to Fiji. And I'm only mentioning that because to me, that plays a role in the synchronicity of like meeting this individual. It's just kind of like, to me, it just shrinks the chances, right? Where to me, it's no longer chance, right? There's no such thing as coincidence, right? So it's like, what's going on? What's up, universe? Like, again, I don't know what to make it mean. I'm just noting it's curious and the timing. And I'm like, okay. So I'm putting it out here just for posterity. So if I reference it, then people will know what I'm talking about. So, all right. That's what I got for right now. Yeah, that's what I got for right now. Yeah. I will say on an energetic spectrum, I received a text from Jason, and it was about just like being prepared for the lawn people to come out and do the lawn. And I will admit, when I saw the text from Jason before I read it, I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, I have things, man. The more protracted things get, the harder it is for me to manage. I won't lie. I won't necessarily say it's harder for me to manage. It comes up. I'm not going to say it's harder for me to manage. It just, the more protracted things can get, it's just those spikes of anxiety, like finding myself off center around data that is within that context of finances, like can really inspire things inside of me. So that's a thing. Yeah, and I've been asking for stability. For sure. For sure. All right. I'm probably gonna cry. So I like to drop in at the end of the videos and end on as much grounded note as I can. I noticed on like one or two of my videos where I'm like, I didn't do that. And I personally, when I rewatch the videos, enjoy that. So I'm going to assume and believe that you do as well. So let me take a moment here. I'll sit with you and I'll get present with you. And we'll conclude this. Connecting with the feeling of things like stability and finances and the right opportunities and like the right flow and like contribution. I'm going to admit that it can be difficult for me to connect with that when I'm not experiencing it, To me, that's where that groundedness comes in and why I work to connect with that, so that way at least from there I can more easily entertain those thoughts and be more open to receiving what that would feel like. It allows me the groundedness, the opportunity to envision and visualize without that visualization being tainted by my anxiety or current circumstances, so that I can connect with that imagery more purely and be more open to receive its true impression upon my consciousness rather than an adulterated impression. Okay. I am grateful for you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being with me. Thanks for journeying with me. Thanks for your time, for sure, your presence. I greatly appreciate it. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.